Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever this happens to arrive in your reality of now. It is super early here for us. Yesterday, I went to a Edgar Cayce Institute. It's fascinating. I got to meet some people that I was looking forward to seeing. And I got to expose myself to a community that I am interested in getting to know more. I have been leery about how I'm integrating with a new place, my new location, and how I spend my time. Your time is more precious than gold, more precious than gems, more precious than anything else you develop a relationship with. And I feel you should prioritize your higher self and yourself. Make time for yourself. The things that inspire you, encourage you, refresh you, renew you, all of those kind of things. And also everything from the songs that we listen to the friends we hang out with, to the books we read, to the thoughts that we bring home and take with us. All of that you spend time with. You want to spend time with things that enrich, grow, enlighten, inspire, that encourage healthy behavior, that makes it easy to smile. So at the Edgar Cayce, as I was walking near it, well, first, where we parked, we kind of parked in a tree. And what I mean by that is, thankfully I have a Jeep and it moved all the branches because it was very, branches were all over. And I walked out and just put my hand against the tree and couldn't wait to walk towards the Edgar Cayce space. Walking in, it was like a breath of fresh air. I like being around people that cleanse their energy, that is aware that there's more than meets the eye, that walk towards enlightenment, not better than the person next to them, or better than who they were yesterday kind of people. So there's a ton of psychics and palm readers and tarot cards and people that make candles and make jewelry, and a lot of people that have hobbies and things that I appreciate. And then I got to meet, since I've moved to new locations, there are certain plants in the springtime I'd always go for, in the fall time I'd always go for. It has the plants where at a certain cycle it signified like spruce tips right in the spring. That would be in my tea. I'm now in an area that has different kinds of trees, and I don't know which ones are edible, which ones are medicinal, none of that. So I met a forager, and she teaches classes, makes her own tinctures, creates tea, and she knows the local plants. And speaking to her, she immediately started talking about Peru. And I'm assuming she went and did ayahuasca there, because when I mentioned that I hold Peru dear in my heart, she automatically made the assumption that was why. And that isn't why. But talking about, she was talking about when she went to Peru, she goes, I could eat that, I could eat that, I could eat that. And I was laughing, because when I was there, I was like, that's edible, that's edible, that's edible. I was doing the same. And by the end of our conversation, she invited me to come to her home 3 times and share in communing with the plants there. And I purchased her book, and I am very much looking forward to spending time drinking her tea and learning the local plant language. So she was definitely the reason I showed up at that moment. Plus, they have continuing education classes. I am still very much on the fence if I'm going to renew my massage license from Alaska and bring it over to Virginia. I am very good at healing with physical touch. I also can do that with light language at a distance. And this way provides more access to people that couldn't really afford what I do. And it's very close to my heart. You have the ability to heal yourself. You are in charge of you. You are responsible for you. And sometimes that feels like a burden. And there's a lot of people out there that feel hopeless. And you aren't a burden. And there is hope all around you. Oftentimes, it's in things like trees that, before you go there, hug me. And hearing the animals, hearing the plants, feeling your environment, that will enrich your own reality, and it's something you take everywhere with you. So I'm very powerful with touch, but I'm not limited to that. So I was speaking to a friend acquaintance who I'm getting to know, and I was talking about building doors and windows and greenhouses, structural conversations. I'd like to focus on the door to your own reality, opening up your senses. When I was at the Edgar Cayce place yesterday, it was like, oh, it felt good. When I am required to go into a grocery store, I'm like, I'm ready. I do as much shopping as I can, and I leave as quick as I can. I claim it to be the halogen lights, but it's also, people carry, entities is a strong word, but they carry low levels of consciousness with them that they don't know how to let go of. Yesterday, I opened up my Mesa packs, and I was focusing on heart-centered friends of mine and removing things that don't serve them, that body snatchers, entities, the things that people bring with them, the luggage and baggage around them that doesn't serve their highest and greatest good. Let's pull a card real fast for unwelcome attached entities. Surrender. And what's coming with you? Fifth chakra. Okay. So the unwanted entities, that's what my rituals last night were focusing on. My reality of life is focusing on opening up new doors and adding structure. So, opening up new doors and structure. This is your higher self to center of self, who you are stepping forward. That voice always needs to be the loudest. Intuition. 27. Okay, I'll be focusing on 939. That number holds a huge amount of symbolism and recallability between my ancestors and self. 939, the fifth chakra. One moment. In the angelic guidance that's always around us, a card for that one randomly grabbed. Freedom! 3. Okay. So, new doors to our senses. Meeting the plant talker. The moment I came across her, I knew you're the reason I came. I put the Edgar Cayce event on my calendar, and it was, I'd like to, I'm open to it, but not this needs to happen. I could have very contently stayed sipping my orange juice and tinkering around my home. But I was led there with purpose, and she, I knew, was the reason of why. Also, it was nice to look at the things that people were doing and doing an internal check of my own Swiss Army knife of self. I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. I know how to do that. I've learned how to do that. Should I choose to, that could be what I do also. That felt good. It's been a while since I have prioritized my professional self. My schedule has been required to build house, home, hearth, and create a flow of function for health of my children and self. That is part of why the desire to teach people and to show, be example, and embody within self your higher self stepping into self has been of such importance to me. As I was going through these, I knew this is good for others. This is good for many. Walking in this space yesterday and how good it felt, I brought into a comparison of places that I avoid and go to only when necessary. And that has a lot to do, I have the ability, I can remove entities. It is simple for me. That is because I am a shaman. That energy will listen and follow my directives. I speak, you will listen. Not you, not the collective energy. The things that don't honor who you are, that will move. That's part of when I use energy of fives, that's what I'm calling forth. The energy of threes, when I look at you and I see your highest, greatest good, I see your potential, I see what you add, I see what you offer, and everything in me is, hello, I love that I get to see you, I love meeting you. That is me playing with your threes, but embodying my own threes. My threes, you come across me, I will remain same, and it causes a cascade of change in those that are ready to have a domino effect in their reality. Sometimes I feel a sense of sensitivity and apologetic, like, do I need to come with a warning label? And no, I don't believe in accidents. I believe everything is of purpose and purposeful. And I know you're in charge of you. Our higher selves will not have us come in contact until you are ready for it, and it is time, and I am ready. The energy that I have transmuted, that I find of ease to work with, I have the ability to just take that, and you don't need this, you don't need that. For me, it's a synchronistic braiding system of sounds, colors, and numbers. And it's nothing that you can come across in a book or on Google. I am me, and you cannot be me. One of the reasons I say that is it's important that you don't try and be me, because that is not fair to who you are. Who you are supposed to be. You are brought here and had your walks of life and your reality and a system set in place for you to be you. It is good to admire, to appreciate, to adore, to enjoy what another brings. And as you attempt to copycat, mimic, or with adoration, I love who you are, that love allows you to be the parts that mirror reflect to you, allow you to be you. You bring healing to yourself. I can absolutely assist, and I do, and I have. And I have seen incredible medical miracles, spiritual breakthroughs, reality of life changes, the matrix fold and bend and allow with my presence. In no way, shape, or form are you incapable of doing that yourself? You are powerful. We all are powerful. We haven't been taught that, shown that. Some of us have in some aspects. When I was researching researching is too strong of a word. When I was casually going through the Edgar Cayce, I came across a video and it was talking about ancient Egypt being in the Americans, and it was a map system overlay. And that I want to do more research. I want to listen to audiobooks. I want to engage more with, because that made sense to me. I, a long time ago, was working through chaotic confusion in my own vessel. There was confusion in how my organs were acting and interacting. And I needed to, one, understand the intelligence of my body, listen to the messages, learn how to do apoptosis, and figure out where the confusion was, and put the spiritual general in charge of my body. Me doing me. And that walked me out of what Western medicine would have called a permanence. And my body started to heal in ways that we're taught is incapable. What I was doing was keying into the spiritual general and putting energy to my divine masculine and divine feminine. My heart center being prioritized, my liver being detoxed, and my body running in flow. My ability to hold your higher self in honor and see the health and the futuristic aspects of you means when I look at you, I'm not looking at your injuries. One of the things I had to be careful of and verbalize to my client before I touched is sometimes I will speak to the body, and I'm not speaking to you, I'm speaking to your body. And then there are times where I hear the person say, I am, and then insert some sort of medical diagnosis that is terrible, a age that is untrue, a genetic disorder that they believe that they have or will have or saw their parents have, so they must have, a incorrect reality that the body will listen to. And she didn't mean that. Don't listen. That's what I'll tell the body. And what I mean is she didn't mean, or he didn't mean, is because I understand that this is important to you and that you've read this and it's a belief pattern. And part of why you're listening to me now is because you're trying and wish to avoid this reality. But I'd speak directly to the body, the higher self. And what I was keying into is the ancestor of the person that I was physically touching or energetically working with. The ability to tune into my ancestors is always with me. The reason I spoke to the tree before I went to Edgar Cayce place of intention was I could hear the sounds and I was rooting that energy. I left a piece of hair on the bark, and which will most likely either fall into the soil or a bird will take it to a nest or it will become of use. And I know in the sound of that is peace. Out of, I'm going to say my hair, but everybody's hair. In my dreamscapes times in my Lemurian life, the brushing of hair and the singing and the braiding, the weaving of the hair, part of, in my reality of now, why I braid sounds is because I'm tuning into that Lemurian dreamscape. And I used to tune in, and there's a little bit of sorrow because it's not here in the now, and I know that. That is no longer there. I hear my Lemurian tones strong around Saturn and in a echo of peace that is always here. One of the things that I have done for a long time is leave a gemstone. If I'm speaking to the stone, and that's the commandmentship of the water within self. Or if I'm speaking with my hair, that is my Lemurian. When I speak with her, I'm going to do a random card, and I'm saying I, but everyone has this ability. Merkaba, that's interesting. My hair. Protection. Structure. 17 breaks down to an 8. 8 to me has a lot to do with the power and the energy and oxygen. I believe we breathe in the vessel and isness of God, divinity. I don't mean human man-made God and how we perceived that energy. Before the Big Bang God, the soup that we're all in. Okay. I'm going to put that energy to the side. Not necessarily I take it with me everywhere, but the reason that I was asked and inspired to leave a piece of hair. The masculine energy, it protects and it creates form and to flow and to function. Masculine energy, divine masculine energy, it is safe. One of the things that make me a very effective healer, there was a time, I'm going to deviate because something else almost came through my tongue and I wanted to switch that because I was going with healer, but that wasn't the word coming out of my mouth. I used to consider, and now I've removed myself from, a spiritual paramedic. Delinda talking of self in this form of reality. At one point, one of my hats was an EMT, and I was in the back of an ambulance. You dialed 911, and I was there. And not only was I there, I would calm the situation, I would hold your hand, and I would soothe the situation, and that would help other things start to flow. And I was doing more than hand holding, but one of my nicknames was the hand holder. And that was because I calmed things down. That was before my terminal diagnosis. That was before other things. There are parts that I learned to love about the fire department and how they have your back. And things that I have learned to love and admire about our EMTs, our firefighters, our medics, our doctors, our nurses, those that are there in your 911. I am still a spiritual paramedic. There are friends of mine that always have access and are able to get into my energetic field. There are also energies that does not have access, nor will it attempt. Energy, I guess I do want to say undeveloped consciousness. I'm not speaking of people. I'm speaking of energy that has crossed over and their higher self is in heaven embodying their real isness. And the parts of their powerful sense of self that they were unaware of are still in grid systems. Locked is not true, but I don't know a better form in the now. But they are still in a gridlock system on Earth. And that energy listens. I'm refreshed walking through graveyards. I am refreshed walking through forest. I am energized walking near oceans. Running water satiates my soul. These parts of me I'm fully aware of. The stepping away from the embodiment and the isness and the reality of awareness of being a spiritual paramedic, I didn't wish people to not know their own power. Nor did I wish for myself to be a crutch to what they're not doing for their self. My chosen didn't have a need to meditate because I always would. and he would just reach in and calm himself that way. He learned his own meditative practices, and he learned to carry his parts of his own energetic body. But there is a lot of that was here. If you've got one person doing Tai Chi, the whole house benefits. This is business. Walking into the Edgar Cayce, it was fresh, clean, clear, flow, movement. It felt wonderful. The energy wasn't pulling and grabbing, and the energy of a grocery store feels very much different to me. It's more taxing for me to go to a grocery store than it is to walk through a graveyard. It's that unseen energy. Those that have crossed over. It's not their consciousness or their higher self or their divinity that's stuck. That doesn't get stuck. Their divinity gets written into stone and harmonized, put almost into a form of a statue in Mother Earth herself. As she's, see my children, see my children, see what they've done. We go to heaven. There, I do not believe there to be a, purgatory. I can consider the consciousness that doesn't go through the higher sense of self. I can consider the ghost, maybe into a sense of purgatory. The entities that come, that attach, a friend of mine that I was focusing on, his body is of the ethers. He's an officious, officially speaking. And an officious, entities that don't have form, that don't have, hi, my name is John. They don't have that. Then they have the ability to absorb and connect to those of the officious, of the 13th house. The reason of that, the officious can be very strong in their earth element, very strong in their air element. Air, to me, is very strongly wrapped into Venus, to thoughts, to the power of your I am. Their water element. Officious can take on whatever elements they are near, and their environment responds to them. Someone, a fixed sign, like a fixed fire sign, they're not going to have quite the adaptive ability innately within themselves as they're born to flow. They'll be fixed, and part of that fixation and that fixed into this element balances and brings flow to the other elements. All right, I have blah, blah, blahed quite a bit. We are going to do some light language. Bottom of the deck is Merkaba. Top of the deck, forgiveness. The first thing you forgive is yourself. Sometimes I have had times in my reality where I had to forgive myself for being in a situation. I didn't know, I didn't realize, I am sorry I am here. I have, shout out Kate's Regretless Life, and she's got she's got 2 channels. I love listening to her. Where did she jump in? Forgiveness? Oh, Living Without Remorse. That's what made me think of her. She has a channel that's regretless. Dang it, I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. Living Without Remorse matters to me. And I found a tarot channel. I'm sorry. She gets stories from cards. But she doesn't do tarot reading. Anyhow, Regretless Life. When I was going through a time where I had remorse and regret, it was I'm sorry that I met this. I'm sorry I came across this. I didn't want this. Why is this here? That kind of energy in my own body. And I needed to get that up, chucked, and out, and be back to my, hi, I'm glad to be here, self. Her channel really helped with me. And what I was working on was forgiveness. Forgiveness for myself. I have went through things. I'll use a childhood example because with children, we know there was a level of innocence. As a very young child, I was forcibly taken by a larger person and had no choice. And my cries, my tears had no effect to stop what was being done and happening to me. When I was going through the forgiveness, I was wrapping myself around that child that was hurt, harmed, and victimized, and bringing forgiveness, bringing that I am here. There may not have been an able-bodied adult who took charge or took care in the ways that you needed, that did not give you protection that was necessary. I am here now. That shamans always do it. Always should, always can. Not all things are created of equal. When I was going through places that, in my own reality, that required the healing flows of forgiveness, I first touched self. Memories that had a ouch to it. Those ones I addressed with my higher self. My divine masculine and feminine energy went back to my own root structure and reformed. And that's why I speak so with ease to trees in the now. That's one of the whys. Forgiveness. There are people that will bring betrayal, harm, loss, and burdens to your doorstep. We've all had those moments of hindsight 2020 where you're like, that person did that once. And it is your responsibility to bring forgiveness to yourself. I don't believe in allowing toxic behavior to be an isness. But also, people have the ability to change, and they do, and they can. It's not okay to put yourself in toxic situations over and over and keep going back to it. That's not protecting yourself. You take the youngest version of you from your origin point. I made an example of how I had forgiven self and how I'd started healing my own childhood wounds of this reality of life. But once I started doing that, I cascaded that to all lifetimes of. That took my ability to go with that unseen. There are times where I had been, my life extinguished because of the fear around me or because of the careless negligence around me. And that part of me died. Higher self goes here, ancestral blah, blah, blah. In reality of now, when I was working through my childhood issues, I also cast it back to all of my lifetimes of. That is how you get really strong speaking with Earth, with Gaia. When I put my back against a tree, I can feel it. And I am fully aware the tree is conscious of me. And it feels me. Eventually, and I haven't done this yet, I'm going to sit down in the outdoors and have a time-lapse camera near me as I meditate, and I'm curious to see what the trees do and how they bend. That's going to be future videos and things casted for later time in life as I teach you that you are powerful. And as I reinforce those that know their power, that they are powerful. But forgiveness is about you. The importance of that message. I have forgiven those that have trespassed upon me. I have brought barriers and blocks, and the energies that do not have permission to approach does not have the ability to approach. Sickness will happen. You may not come. Your energy is permission based, and who you are is valuable and precious and divine. My highest self allows access to their higher self, and that's the access that can flow through to me. You may touch me with your higher self. When it comes to Sally, Sue, Billy, Bob, Joe, all of the random peoples that you interact with, sometimes you can come across someone and get the impression that they can reach you, or they can touch you, or they can do things. My clients that I have worked with in the past, friends, some family, lovers, people that have close bonds and intimate connection to my heart center, they get exposure to some of the really fun stuff that comes with me being me. For me to have full access, I needed to go through healing cycles and forgiveness so that I can say with 100% certainty, I forgive you. I forgive you for the choices that you made. I forgive you for the things you didn't know. And that came because of the healing and the forgiveness I've done internally to self. Forgiveness is for you. So we're going to bring in the energy of forgiveness and Merkaba. And I will be focusing on entities that have permission to leave. By the precious blood of Christ, I command, is a very strong way of exercising for self that energy may go. Give yourself permission in the ground for Gaia to reach you and your higher self to come in. I will be removing entity attachments. I'll be opening up new doors to your own reality, spreading in the energy of forgiveness, focusing on 393, and I will be sprinkling my Lemurian connections throughout that. All right, 3803. Feet on the ground or seated comfortably. I am feeling a ping in my lower back, so we'll also be focusing on our kidneys and creative energy and stability in the spiritual realm of reality. Deep breath in, slow release out. Niatush satari the kud graboyanania tushisuminiete shisudiria satukumuniata shisateata. Protection of the plants. Kuyasa shuyatare supoyamnia sasataria tukurmayasa shasataria tukurmayataria satukumanata jisite and moyata. Nia suya taria saturisha satukumanata satukumanata yaturishato shuminiatea. Nuyata sasataria sashisukurbiata sataria sanumiataria sataria shasataria takunumiatea. Nuyata soto shasapoyataria tarisha sate kuriata yania seatosha. Opening up new doors. Kuya sasha sataya sudut satariata kupayataria sashu satira moyata tatu samoyata tariata kuriata sashuyata moyataya. Your sense is awakening. sound, smell, feel, taste. Tuya sashwea tara kupoya nania sashwea tara mona sasha satari satari paitaria satakumoa taria satari shisaya naya taya. And disperse. That was a complex braid. All right. Random card. Joy. Your innate nature is joyous. Okay. Take care. Be well.